Hi, I'm Madhu Krishnamurthy, president of the Chicago Headline Club, the largest chapter of the Society of Professional Journalists.
And I'm Amanda Vinicky, the soon-to-be president-elect of the Chicago Headline Club for next year.
Welcome to our virtual announcement of the 2020 Chicago Headline Club Awards, which celebrates some of the best journalism from across the Chicago region over the past year.
Today, we will be recognizing the winners of the Peterlissagor Awards, as well as the Ann Keegan, Watchdog, and Lifetime Achievement Awards.
We'd hoped we'd celebrate this year's awards in person, along with our 100th anniversary. Sadly, getting together in person still presents many challenges and potential health risks. But we see light at the end of the tunnel, and hopefully we can celebrate next year's Lissagors and our 101 anniversary with all of you. What we do have to share are a couple of fun messages our club received as we celebrate a century's worth of journalistic achievements. Take a look.
100 years. Happy birthday to the Chicago Headline Club. I am proud to be a part of it.
This is Evan Osnos wishing a very happy birthday to the Chicago Headline Club.
Happy 100th birthday to the Chicago Headline Club. Congratulations, and thank you for all you do for journalism.
Happy birthday to the Chicago Headline Club.
Happy 100th birthday, Chicago Headline Club. You make journalism in this city more meaningful and more fun. Thank you.
Happy 100th birthday, Chicago Headline Club. Just one question. How do you stay so youthful after all these years?
Happy 100th birthday, Chicago Headline Club.
Hello, I'm Bill Curtis. Wishing you a happy anniversary from the Anchormen. Headline Club 100. Now, that's kind of a big deal.
So special congratulations to the Chicago Headline Club for hitting 100 years. Here's to at least 100 more.
Strong local journalism is a pillar of our democracy. At its best, it informs the public and holds government to account. After 12 years in City Hall, I can personally attest to both. And in an era of fake news and alternative facts, we need a strong local press corps more than ever. So thank you for everything you do at the Chicago Headline Club, and happy 100th birthday.
Before we get to the awards, we'd like to highlight some of our club's efforts during this unprecedented year. As many of you well know, it has been a tough one for the media industry as declines in advertising revenue led to layoffs of journalists across the country. We at the Headline Club and the Headline Club Foundation knew that we needed to do something.
So for the first time, we awarded $50,000 in grants to dozens of Chicago area journalists struggling with job loss or salary cuts. Thanks to money from grants and our members across the region, we were able to help our colleagues pay their bills and sleep a little easier during difficult times.
We also expanded our programming this year despite the challenge of having to pivot to virtual events. Our signature FOIA Fest moved from a day-long conference to a 3-day online event.
We also launched an inaugural 2-week FOIA Fest boot camp intended to support the work of burgeoning investigative journalists of color in Chicago. Through this first-of-a-kind program, 15 reporters with less than 5 years experience got paired with seasoned journalists who served as mentors for investigative projects. We've also awarded free memberships to dozens of journalists as we work to grow our community.
It takes energy and commitment to organize all of these events, so a hearty round of appreciation to members of our all-volunteer board for their hard work. Moving forward, we could use your help, input, and ideas, so please get in touch if you want to get more involved.
Now on to the awards. The Chicago Headline Club's Lifetime Achievement Award recognizes journalists who've made extraordinary contributions to the community and the profession throughout their careers. Nominees come from across the media industry, including print, broadcast, the trade press, and web-based outlets.
This year's Lifetime Achievement Award winners are Cheryl Corley, Chicago-based correspondent for NPR, formerly news director at WBEZ, and Greg Kot, former music critic at the Chicago Tribune and Sound Opinions co-host with 2019 winner Jim DeRogatis. Here's a video tribute to our Lifetime Achievement winners.
I'd spend a lot of time with my grandma in the summers in Chicago, and she got like 3-4 newspapers, and would I would just be in awe of everything. I thought, wow, big city newspapers, I love it. Well, I knew since I was about 10, 12 years old that I wanted to write, and journalism seemed like a natural fit for that. Then going to Marquette, I walk in onto campus like my first day, and I have my meeting with my advisor, and it's George Reedy. He's the dean of the journalism school at that time, George Reedy being the press secretary for LBJ. We just sat and talked for 2 hours about journalism. I met a lot of fantastic professors, but also my fellow students were a total inspiration. I learned a lot from them.
With some people, you just know. You just know they're going to end up doing great things. I felt that about Greg right away when we met at Marquette University as journalism students. He was already a full-blown, serious writer and editor, and he was a teenager.
I applied at 100 newspapers out of college. I got responses from 3, which indicated some level of interest. Everybody else told me to get lost. I didn't have enough experience. But I got a call from the Quad City Times in Davenport, Iowa to come out. I learned how to be a line editor at the Quad City Times. It was a great experience. I didn't know what I was doing. I had a lot of great mentors. I didn't realize it at the time, but now I appreciate it tremendously. So the day I got back from my honeymoon, I got the call from the Tribune that I was hired. So I went from Iowa to Chicago, which made my new wife very happy because she lived in Chicago, and we were trying to figure out how we were going to negotiate that 3-hour car ride. Landing the job at the Tribune, it was a dream come true. It's a paper since I was a kid that I wanted to work for, based on my experiences in my grandma's house reading those newspapers.
A couple years later, when we were back in Chicago, traipsing through the clubs and the record stores.
Vinyl on this side, books on this side. We would go on record buying sprees and just listen to records, and just talk about them and have fun learning about new stuff.
He was an open-eared fanatic, and he was both an encyclopedia and a pathfinder.
John knew about it and could tell you about it and get you excited about, oh, you got to see this, oh, you got to read this, you got to hear this. And that influenced me in a great way.
It was obvious that Greg's interest in music had fully morphed into a quasi-healthy obsession. You just knew that something good was going to happen with Greg and journalism and music. It had to happen.
We make each other better. We're both good on our own, and as a team, we are even stronger. Sound Opinions has been a celebration of that.
I still don't know how we got that gig, but man, we had fun, and we learned how to do the job. And what we found was that talking about music is almost as much fun as writing about it.
Again, it's never just our opinion about the art in front of us, the album or the concert. It is how it fits in the world, the greater context. I can't think of a better example of that for Greg than his spectacular biography of Mavis Staples, I'll Take You There.
One of my favorite moments that I've experienced with Greg is I had emailed him and I said, Greg, can you call me? It's urgent. And he must have thought that I was crazy because what kind of an urgent call do you need to make to the library? But he did, and I said, I have great news, and I told him.
I was just blown away when Jennifer called me and said, this is it. You're the one book, one Chicago author.
And I think for the first time since I knew him, he was speechless for just about a minute or so when I told him the good news.
I couldn't believe it. I made her say it again just to make sure I got it right.
And through that year, we had tens of thousands of readers who picked up the book, and many more people who participated in all kinds of programs about Chicago music and civil rights. So it was a great year and one of my favorite times that I've worked with Greg through the years.
Running through it all has been talent, passion, intelligence, energy, curiosity, and integrity.
I mean, the Chicago Headline Club's Peterlissagor Awards are, widely known in this region as the most respected awards for journalism in the Midwest. And the Lifetime Achievement Award is obviously a tremendous accomplishment. It almost feels like, an obituary or something. But I'm glad that somebody thought that I did something worthwhile with my career, and I'm deeply honored, deeply flattered.
It's turned out to be kind of the perfect career. I just knew it.
Greg, congratulations. This is well-deserved.
On behalf of everyone here at CPL, Greg, we raise our glass to you. Congratulations.
Well, I started my career in Peoria, Illinois. I had gone to Bradley University and was not a journalism major. I was a speech and theater major. But I ended up working at the radio station there, and at the radio station, the public radio station, I started doing news.
Cheryl first came to WBEZ in 1984, a long time ago, and she was with us for about 10 years. I was program director of BEZ at that time, and we were looking for a city hall reporter.
When I first came to Chicago, I started covering Cook County government, and not too many other people at that time were covering county government, and I was surprised to see that.
We were a brand new news shop around the time we hired Cheryl. We'd only been around for a couple of years, but we had National Public Radio. We wanted to be a local news department that sounded like NPR. We met Cheryl for the first time, and we really liked her personality. She was pretty green. She didn't have a lot of experience when we got her, but neither did any of the rest of us.
I came at a time, an incredible time to be a journalist in Chicago when Harold Washington was the mayor of the city.
She was probably at the heart of all of our coverage of Harold Washington. So she was really, really critical to BEZ in those early days.
And it was kind of a reporter's dream. If you were looking for tension, there it was. If you were looking for conflict, there it was.
President recognizes Alderman Terrace. I move we adjourn. You've heard the motion. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Opposed, no.
I always thought that Cheryl was the most serene, most calm reporter that I ever followed or I ever worked with, particularly during that Harold Washington period, which was very volatile, very tempestuous. No matter how crazy the news business gets, she's always the same. She's always even-handed, even-tempered, doesn't get excited, and just does the job and does the job very well.
Mayor Washington was a great person to talk to. You know, he could be standoffish with reporters, and he could be close to reporters. He would say, politics ain't beanbag, and that was certainly true during the Washington years.
The confrontation is part of life, it's certainly part of politics. It's certainly part of the career I bargained for. I'm ecstatic. I'm in seventh heaven.
The other thing that I learned covering that administration was really the city of Chicago.
Because most of her work has been for NPR, the crucial role she has played is to interpret Chicago to the rest of the world.
She does have this ability of kind of understanding Chicago in a way only a native Chicagoan can, but then communicating that sense of this city to a broader national audience that will make somebody in Miami, Florida or Spokane, Washington care.
I think that comes partly because of her love for Chicago and her long tenure and long history here.
I love Chicago. I love Chicago with all its faults, you know, because there are plenty. And there's trouble, but there's also beauty.
Cheryl has been at NPR for nearly 25 years, and she's established herself just as a terrific reporter. She's on the national desk, and she's covered some of the biggest national stories to occur in her time at the network and has done so beautifully.
I'll bet there aren't many human beings walking around on the planet who have witnessed more of the history of at least the central part of the United States than Cheryl. I mean, you talk about, the Gulf oil spill or something. She was there, Hurricane Katrina, she covered that.
Where I learned not only about the devastation that was there, but the resiliency of people. And that's one of the things that you really learn in reporting throughout the country is how people can be resilient no matter some of the things that they face.
But she doesn't just cover a hurricane, she covers the hurricane with that eye about how does this fit into the social fabric of this city or this region and so forth. And that's one of the things that I've just always admired about her. She is a social justice warrior, a quiet warrior before anything else.
She cares very deeply about people and their stories. And I think that people can sense that, and that's why they're willing to open up to her. Cheryl has long been interested in criminal justice and social justice issues.
And she's been doing reporting on that for a long time. And now everybody's talking criminal justice, the criminal justice system and reforming it. It's the thing.
You know, I think that those are important stories for people to know. And in the policy arena, for legislators and other folks to hear those types of stories, to know how they could be helpful or, you know, how they can impact those lives.
And when we look for someone to really shine on those stories, to dig in and to explain to our audience what the issues are and how real people are being affected, we turn to Cheryl because she's so good at it.
The thing that I think sets her apart from most others is her humanity. I mean, she is a genuinely human person, and that comes out in her reporting. It influences her writing, it influences her delivery, and ultimately, I would guess it influences the way people hear the story.
It's because of her excellence that she's getting this award, not just because she's managed to stick around so long. I mean, go through my mind of the people I admire in journalism and the people who have meant something to me in my career, and her name always rises to the top.
When I first heard that Cheryl was getting this award, I said, "Aren't you too young for a Lifetime Achievement Award?" She assures me that she actually is not. But I don't want you all to give her any ideas. Don't make her think that she can, like, you know, put away her mic now and, you know, go rest on her laurels. We need her. We need her to keep doing great stories.
Now on to the Peterlissagor Awards. This year, we received 879 entries in more than 100 categories, including newspapers, magazines, television, radio, and digital platforms. These entries were judged by an impartial SBJ chapter outside Illinois. We'd like to commend everyone who entered and all our colleagues who did such excellent work despite the difficulties of this past year.
We're all pretty zoomed out by this point in the pandemic, so we aren't going to run through the full list now. But even if it's virtual, this is an awards show. So we would like to highlight some of the winners from a few categories. A list of all of the winners will be posted on our website, headlineclub.org.
First, the winners in the all media category. For Best Deadline Reporting, Kiran Mishra at the Chicago Reader for most of the people arrested at the protests were Black. For Best Investigative Reporting, the staffs of Invisible Institute, The Intercept, Topic Studios, and iHeartRadio. For Somebody, a podcast about race and policing in Chicago.
I feel like I should be opening an envelope here. Moving on, the winners for the Best Short Film Documentary are Martha Irvine, Bram Jansen, Jillian Flakis, Dmitry Vlasov, Paolo Santolucia, and Themis Hakazamana of the Associated Press for Global Pandemic Through the Eyes of Children.
Moving on to the General Interest Daily category, each award in this category includes 2 winners for outlets with more or less than 100,000 circulation. For Best Deadline Reporting, the Lissagor goes to the staff of the Chicago Tribune for their coverage of the fallout of the death of George Floyd. And to Megan Jones, Sarah Freistadt, Stacey St. Clair, and Steve Lord of the Aurora Beacon News for their coverage of protests in Aurora.
The awards for Best Investigative Reporting go to Todd Leidy, Gary Marks, David Jackson of the Chicago Tribune for crime and bond reform in Cook County, and Jake Griffin of the Daily Herald for religious institutions got $166 million in PPP loans.
Moving on, the awards for Best Political and Government Reporting go to Frank Main and Andy Grimm of the Chicago Sun-Times for Long Delays for Justice, and Lauren Rohr and Caitlin Smith of the Daily Herald for Election 2020 Voting by Mail.
Up next are the winners for photo categories, which also include an award for outlets with circulation of more than 100,000 and another for outlets with circulation below that. For Best News Photo, the winners are Ashley Rezin Garcia of the Chicago Sun-Times for Burning Rage, and Brian Hill of the Daily Herald for Centenarian's COVID Birthday. Next, the Lissagors for Best Feature Photo go to Armando L. Sanchez of the Chicago Tribune for Election Celebration, and Carrie Angel Luke of the Elgin Courier News for Halloween Trick-or-Treaters, just as fun to watch from the windows at Senior Complex in Elgin.
Next, we'd like to share a few winners from our non-daily newspaper or magazine category. The winner for Best In-Depth Reporting goes to Stephanie Goldberg of Crane's Chicago Business for Critical Conditions. The award for Best In-Depth Reporting in a Community Newspaper goes to F. Amanda Tugati, Grace Del Vecchio, Kelly Garcia, and Corley J. from City Bureau and Austin Weekly News for Chicago's heated 2021 budget season.
Now we have a few winners from the television category for Best Spot News Story. Jennifer Leigh Risk, Joe Kalina, Rob Stafford, Allison Rosati, Lexi Sutter, Chris Coffey, Natalie Martinez, and Brent Miller of NBC5 Chicago and WMAQ for Chicago Safety. And the award for Best In-Depth News Story or Series goes to Daniel Andrews of WTTW for Making Sense of 2020.
Next, we'd like to highlight some winners in the radio, specialty, and online categories. The winner for Best Radio Breaking News Story goes to the staff of WBEZ Chicago for their coverage of the 2020 election results. The Best Deadline Report by a specialty or trade publication goes to John Gregory of the Theme Park Tribune for COVID-19 suggestions for Orlando theme parks leave gaps in guest employee safety. And the award for Best Deadline Reporting by an online publication goes to Mauricio Pina of Block Club Chicago for planned explosion covered Little Village in dust during respiratory pandemic. Why did the city let it happen?
Next, we'd like to move on to the Ann Keegan Award, which honors writers who tell the stories of ordinary people in extraordinarily well-reported and well-written prose.
Winners of this award are honored for giving a voice to the voiceless, while exhibiting compassion, character, and courage, while telling stories that touch the human heart. The winner of this year's Ann Keegan Award is Stacy St. Clair of the Chicago Tribune.
Up next is the Watchdog Award. This is a cash prize to support enterprising journalism that defends and protects everyday people. The grant is sponsored by the Richard H. Driehaus Foundation and honors reporting that calls attention to situations in which the public is being harmed or poorly served in the Chicago area.
This year, we received 12 Watchdog Award entries from a range of print, digital, and broadcast news outlets in Chicago, including a number of collaborative efforts. The winners are Sama Asad, Christopher Hacker, and Dave Savini of WBBM and CBS2 for Left in the Dark.
We'd also like to announce the Judge's Choice for Headline Club's Investigative Reporting Grant. Out of 6 submissions, the grant has been awarded to an investigative project by freelance journalist Ben Austin, focused on more than 50 unsolved murders of Black and Latina women and girls on the south and west sides of Chicago, dating back 20 years.
Congratulations again to all the Lissagor awardees in every category. Give yourselves a round of applause wherever you are. This brings our awards presentation to a close. Again, for a complete list of this year's Lissagor Award winners, visit headlineclub.org. And we have special shout outs to our own members and board members, VP of FOIA Nader Issa, VP of Programming Taylor Moore, and Treasurer Greg Karp, Bootcamp organizers Maria Zamudio and Alejandra Cancino. And this presentation is possible thanks to Flynn McRoberts, Rob Elder, and Mike Ewing. Others helped out too, but we needed to give some special attention for those who really gave a lot of time and attention during this crazy year.
Can't wait to see you all next year for a real-life, in-person event when we're celebrating 100+1 years of the Chicago Headline Club. Again, congratulations and thanks.